And welcome back to my stream. I am pre-debut VTuber Kriss with a K and three S's. Today is my reading Reddit stories stream, and I've got a bunch queued up. Today we're doing Reddit stories with content warnings. Not all of them have them, but that's the general theme we're going for today, and I think we have some really great ones. So grab your drinks, grab your snacks, and get comfy, and we'll start in just a moment. Today, once again, for my drink, I have just water. So I'm going to take a drink and we'll get started momentarily. Okay. So, first story we have here is an update. So, this one obviously has backstory. So, I clicked on the link to go to the original post so we can read everything. So, am I the asshole for telling my mom about the abuse from my stepdad? So, this one has a trigger warning for abuse. I, 25 female, was sexually abused by my stepdad from kindergarten until I was about a sophomore in high school. I won't go into too many details about that, but I will say I never told my mom, not until my 25th birthday and after 2 years of therapy. We were sitting at the table, just her and I, when I told her that I needed to tell her something. She said okay, and I proceeded to tell her that my stepdad did things to me. A lot of things. I started crying while telling her without going into too much detail because I didn't want to hurt her. She was quiet for a while, and her first question was, "Did he R word you?" I told her that I still have a lot of suppressed memories and can only remember bits and pieces except for some events, so I wasn't sure. My mom said that she knew something was going on. That caught me off guard because I was never protected as a child, and she consistently left me alone with him. She never protected me in the sense of separating us, but I didn't say anything yet. I just kept listening to her. She said, "You realize this is going to change the way I see him forever, right? I'll never look at him the same." That also hurt because of course I knew that, but it didn't feel like she had any sympathy for me at all. She then proceeded to tell me how this is going to change so much for her, but she's not going to treat him any different. She said she still loves him and they still have a life. I understand that completely. Then she talks about how much he's changed. During the time of the abuse, specifically when I was in elementary and early middle school, my stepdad was on a lot of illegal substances. My mom didn't really care about that and still left me alone with him. My mom has a pretty taxing job and is the breadwinner, while he's been unemployed for many years, hence why he was my main caregiver. She told me, well, if he did do that, he probably doesn't remember. It wasn't his fault because he didn't know what he was doing. It was at that point that I started apologizing. I've always taken care of my mom, helped her when she was feeling depressed or anxious. During arguments and physical fights with my stepdad, I got between them. And I listened and validated her whenever she takes to me about issues with my stepdad. I've always taken care of my mom and adored her. So seeing her so upset and telling me that she didn't think he'd do that, and if he did, he's not that guy anymore, devastated me. I really restricted contact with my stepdad once I moved out 7 years ago. I only talk to him at family events or if I drive up to my mom's town. I live about 2 hours away. My mom asks me to have a relationship with him and says he really has changed and is so much better. She constantly asks me to come over and hang out, only to find it's just him there. Or she starts group chats with just us, which I don't respond to. I can't look or talk to my stepdad without having flashbacks or literal visceral reactions. Therapy has helped me immensely, but I'm still healing, still working through it. I've told her that I don't want a relationship with him, that I can't do that, and she says, "But he loves you so much." I feel so guilty. I feel like I should have never told my mom about this. I ruined her image of him, and now she thinks she has to fix a relationship with me and him. I put something on her that's so heavy, and now she's trying to fix it. I don't know my dad. I don't even know if he knows I exist. I don't have any siblings, so it's just me, my mom, and she depends on me to help her. I've been replaying the memories of the abuse in my head, and I'm thinking that maybe it really did never happen. I don't know. I just feel so guilty. I have therapy weekly, and this conversation happened after this week's appointment. So I'm hoping to process through it with my therapist. But please tell me, am I the asshole? So before we get into the edit, I just want to say, what the fuck? Um, yeah, something was happening and didn't even try to address it. Still left OP with this guy and is now trying to force OP to be alone with him in situations. Huge. And the fact that OP is saying that she has been the caregiver in the relationship with her mom. Everything about this is terrible. I feel like mom has some kind of dependency issues with OP, and or maybe mom has like some dependency issues with OP, and or maybe mom has like some kind of narcissistic or like Munchausen like things going on, but what the fuck? Or maybe mom just wants OP to be fucking traumatized because all of this is terrible and sounds like she wants OP to be traumatized and re-traumatized because none of this is okay. But edits. Edit to answer a few questions I'm seeing in the comments. First of all, thank you guys for the support. I know it may sound unbelievable, but I truly didn't see anything wrong with me and my mom's relationship until reading some of these. So I've never really talked to my therapist about my mom, but I will say the times I have, she has told me that boundaries are important and I need to set them up with my mom. I willingly did not take the advice because I didn't think anything was wrong with the way my mom and I were. Also, I have a wonderful support system. I have a husband who means the entire world to me and is my person. He has told me I need to put boundaries with my mom as well as does not let me go over there alone. Again, I did not follow his advice because I was blinded by loyalty and love for my mom. My husband isn't controlling or anything, so he never forces me to stop talking to my mom or anything. I have friends, but they don't know about my life situation. I don't talk about my family. TLDR for the edit. I have support and therapy both telling me to set up boundaries and essentially go low contact. But I willingly did not take their advice because I thought nothing was wrong and I love my mom. I see now maybe it's for the best. So let's look at those comments. I see now maybe it's for the best. So let's look at those comments. Ray Rexton says, not the asshole. The fact that your first instinct was to start apologizing after disclosing years of abuse says a lot. You told her something that happened to you, and somehow you ended up feeling responsible for everyone else's feelings about it. That's not the same thing as doing something wrong. Say what again says, so in other words, your mom is terrible as well. Yeah, that's basically what I was saying. Nope, if mom stayed, I'd be no contact. Why would you ever talk to her after this? She's a piece of shit. First of all, stop apologizing to her. She should be apologizing to you for not protecting you. So on and so forth. I don't know like where in the world this is, but like here in the US, if uh, this had come out in like a CPS investigation, the mom would be charged for failure to protect. Um, because like, yes, obviously the stepdad had harmed her and had done the assault and the abuse, but the mom said she knew stuff was going on and didn't do anything to stop it. And so failure to protect would be something she'd be charged with. And so she would also face repercussions. So yeah, mom fucking sucks. Like Brilliant Moose 378 says, not the asshole. Your mom is a huge asshole though. I would never speak to her again. Ooh, this one got major upvotes. Bubbly Chicken 9358. Girl, no. No. This is not you. Bubbly Chicken 9358. Girl, no. No. This is not you. This is her. She is centering her own comfort and excusing her own guilt, shifting that burden to you. Let me tell you what you should have heard. Sweetheart, this is not your fault. You did nothing wrong. You and your mom both trusted a man who abused that trust. You deserved better. I'm sorry he hurt you. I'm sorry that she wasn't there for you and didn't protect you. Sorry that she wasn't there for you and didn't protect you. Your mother's comfort is not your problem. Her decision to forgive him and stay with him despite the fact that you were the victim is disgusting. You are not obligated to have a relationship with this man ever. And you certainly are under no obligation to allow him access to your own children, should you choose to have them. You are also under no obligation to forgive her, to continue a relationship with her, or allow her access to any children you may have, or to continue a relationship with her, or allow her access to any children you may have. Not only did she allow someone she suspected was abusing you to continue having access to you, but she has already decided to forgive him for unforgivable acts when forgiveness is not hers to give. She failed you then, she is failing you now, and I am so very sorry for the hurt she is causing you. You are so brave and so strong for telling her now, and I am very brave, very proud of you and the woman you have become despite the struggles and obstacles. Live your life in joy and peace, not the asshole. Okay, so let's get to the update. So, TLDR, if you don't want to read the original, even though we just did, I told my mom about years of sexual abuse from my stepdad. She didn't have any sympathy, wants me to still have a relationship with him, and only focused on how this would affect her. Anyway, here's the update. I was talking to a cousin, 27 female, who used to spend the night whenever she would come to visit our state. She's the only cousin I have, and so we were close. I found out that she woke up in the middle of the night at one of these sleepovers to my stepdad touching her too when she was around 10. And the same thing. She immediately told my mom, who brushed it off and said that he was trying to pull down her shirt because it had ridden up all the way. My cousin was opening up to me about that and asked if he had ever done anything to me. I said I didn't really want to talk about it, but that he has, and I just told my mom. My cousin was confused because apparently my mom had talked to her about it multiple times before I even told my mom. My mom mentioned that I, her minor daughter, was weird around my stepdad for no reason, and that she knows some things are going on, but knows it's not inappropriate. My cousin didn't mention it to me because my mom had mentioned it and assumed it was taken care of, or that I really was just weird around him for no reason. So that's annoying, but it's not necessarily her fault at all. I just wish I knew sooner. Long story short, a lot of the comments were right. My mom did know. Maybe not every little detail, but she knew. And she still left me alone with him and continues to try to get me to have a relationship with him and paint him in a positive light. I have decided to go minimal contact with my mom. I know a lot of comments said no contact, but believe me when I say I'm not strong enough to do that right now. I will cave and just speak to her again if I go full no contact. I love my mom, and I know a lot of people will probably say she doesn't deserve it or I shouldn't, but the bottom line is that I do love her, and right now, I can't go no contact. My therapist also believes I should go no contact, but understands my viewpoint and says we're going to work on baby steps until I can fully get there. That's the update. It's nothing special or dramatic, but I wanted to say thank you to everyone. I didn't realize before how messed up my relationship with my mom was, and I never brought it up in therapy because I didn't think it was an issue. Now that my therapist knows, she's in full support of going little to no contact and recommended some self help books. I love reading, and they help me so much. I appreciate each and every one of you. You're all very sweet and supportive. To anyone out there who has or is going through a similar situation, you are so strong to speak up. I can't speak for my cousin at all, but I'm going to say something. That's part of my plan with my therapist. This is a lot for me, so finding the nerve/strength to go on to an actual police station and make a report feels so overwhelming. Again, working through that with my therapist and my husband is a part of this plan as well. Lovely Chicken 9358, whom we saw comment in the first post, says I remember. Lovely Chicken 9358, whom we saw comment in the first post, says I remember your post. I've thought about it quite a bit over the past few weeks, and I'm grateful that you updated. Please know that your mother failed you. You did nothing wrong. You owe her nothing. You are a better daughter than she deserves. I'm glad you're doing what is best for you, and I wish you peace, strength, and clarity as you continue to heal and grow. Still reading comments says, OP really is much better daughter than her mom deserves. It's so heartbreaking to read, but I'm glad she's prioritizing her own healing process now at her own pace. This update was heavy, but it is good to know she has a solid therapist. Uh, Conscious Arm 7 Conscious Arm 7889 says both you and your cousin should report him to the police. Your mom is toxic and you should lean on your husband for support. Go full no contact. Moggers 1111 says this times 10,000. I felt sick reading the first post, and after reading the second, I'm fuming. OP's first post sounds just like what happened to me and my brother when we finally told our mother what my older brother did. She gaslit us and made it all about her, but she didn't know but she didn't know about the abuse. This makes it far worse. But they both they both deserve to spend the rest of their lives in jail. Da, 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 da. Funny Anchor 123 says, I think the statute of limitations would include reporting these crimes to the police, but check with a lawyer to be sure. In fact, bring a lawyer with you when you report these crimes. That way, you won't get a bored policeman who will wave your report away. Looks like a lot of people have some kind of similar stuff and think her mom is a total piece of shit. I agree. Well, that was pretty heavy and crazy for our first story. But yeah, that's our first story down. Okay. Second story. Let me go ahead and take a drink of my water here first. Okay. Would I be the asshole if I dropped out as a bridesmaid a week before the wedding because of what happened at the bachelorette? So, I am a bridesmaid in my friend's wedding. She just had a bachelorette party at the groom's family cabin for 2 nights. It started off okay, but as the attendants got more and more drunk, the racism and anti Semitism started coming out. So there's not a content or trigger warning on this one, but content warning for racism and anti Semitism. For context, everyone else at the party is white. I am mixed Jewish and Asian, and Irish, but not relevant to this post. My part of the party was to put on a tea party in the afternoon. I spent weeks hand decorating a tea set as a wedding present. Weddings are huge in my culture, and I wanted to share that joy. I bought and cooked a bunch of my cultural food, but the basic stuff even Western food people like. Lumpia, baked desserts, skyflakes with cheese and meat. I, of course, checked with the bride and maid of honor beforehand, and both of that would be okay, with the bride saying she loved lumpia. I was so proud of it, and it looked beautiful all set up. But immediately, some of the bridal party started making the ew ethnic food faces. People of color, if you know, you know. One of them chased around another with a sweet bun, laughing about how weird and scary it was. It was literally bread and cream. I sent pictures of my setup to other friends to see if it was something I did wrong, and everyone said it looked amazing. Edit, because I need to be precise. People did say thank you, including the bride. They said the setup was very pretty. It was the reaction to the food by some of them, family of the groom, who also made the Auschwitz jokes. Ooh, that I was describing. That being said, almost nobody spoke during the tea party portion and blamed it on being tired. The bride and friends did not say anything about the reactions of the other girls. The main feedback I got as that I was clearly a witch because my tea put everyone to sleep. It was a hibiscus rose mint and calamansi mix. But oh well, maybe that food isn't for them. I moved on. But then the racist jokes started. The party started on Juneteenth. You can imagine the jokes that came out of that. Then anti Semitic jokes about Holocaust camps and more. This is a direct quote. I say a lot of Nazi and Holocaust jokes for someone who isn't racist. I was trapped on a boat with them when this started happening. Okay, aside to anyone watching or listening, oh, holy shit. I have a feeling this is just the beginning. Oh. Later that night, as I was grabbing something from a room to then leave, the main perpetrator said to someone I considered a close friend, I was worried you'd be offended by the Auschwitz jokes because you're German. That friend replied she wasn't offended. I spoke up. Well, I might be offended because I'm Jewish. I got up to leave with my stuff, and the girl said, she's going back to Auschwitz. My friend, the bride, everyone laughed. I went outside and I cried. They saw me from the window when they all came to eat food. Not a single one of my friends came to check on me. The vibes continued along that line, and I felt like I was in the Jewish/Asian version of Get Out, stuck in a giant home with a bunch of racist white people. But honestly, the fear from it wasn't the worst part. It was that not a single one of my friends said anything. I then was in a 4-hour car ride with one of these said friends' bridesmaids on the way home. She spent the last hour of it lecturing me about how she's someone who can be cordial around people she doesn't agree with, but not everyone has that skill, especially when it's personal. And that I need to put myself in other people's shoes and see that they have positive intentions and more. I'm already exhausted by this story. For context, this cabin was 4 hours away and I have a pretty moderate disability. I was using 110% of my energy for this and had no energy left by the end of it. I pushed myself to extremes for these friends and the bride, and it was reciprocated by laughing at anti Semitic jokes at my expense. The wedding is next weekend. I can barely see from the migraine I have, and my legs are struggling with walking. I don't feel it's worth it to hurt myself for someone who couldn't bother to stand up for me or even check on me after. All my friends of color agree with me, but this was my high school friend group. I grew up in a very white town, and I also feel guilty like I'm letting them down. I'm not quite sure what to do. So, Reddit, please help me out. Edit. I was a history major, which makes this whole thing even worse. So, I have to add context that I didn't realize I missed until the comments. 1. The friend in the car is the friend who said she wasn't offended by the Holocaust jokes to the person. She was asked by the jokester because she's German and lives in Germany. In the car, she did say that she is absolutely against the concentration camp joke and that she feels guilty she didn't say anything. The words, I'm sorry, never came out of her mouth, though. But then I brought up the other stuff with the food and the racist comments, and that's when she went on a tangent. She also said she saw the racism, but told me in those situations you have to ignore it and choose to not be around those people again. As she knew there was racism happening, including towards me, and didn't say anything or check in on me, I will be choosing to not be around her again. Good job, OP. Solid decision. I also told her repeatedly that I didn't want to talk about this now because I was so physically done, and she said, this is my car and I am driving. I don't want to be uncomfortable and have this tension here. We are talking. I have a vocal cord disorder and my speaking is limited, so I didn't say much. And I didn't want to get dropped off on the side of the road in the middle of nowhere. I told her she crossed a boundary she can't come back from, though. 2. The people making the racist jokes were the siblings/cousins of the groom. My friends were the ones laughing along and not saying anything. 3. I have been long distance with these friends since high school. The friend in the car with me was in a social justice club with me in high school. There were not signs of this behavior before from either this friend or the bride. In fact, the bride went with me to an anti-ICE fundraiser party earlier this year, and we had a lot of fun. I've never been shy with my opinions, especially as someone who studied history. This was the first time I was hanging with them around a bunch of other people. In reviewing these comments, I've realized that they may not be racist when with me before, but didn't stop or say anything about racism when it happened, which is in fact racism. This is a key difference. I am also more white than not. I'm ethnically Jewish, but not religiously. I often don't feel that I have the right to be upset about these things because other family have gone through worse. That's something I'm working to unlearn, and this was definitely some exposure therapy to that. 4. Why didn't I say anything at the party? Because I was in the middle of nowhere surrounded by drunk people making racist comments at me. I've survived violence before and know that sometimes keeping your mouth shut is what needs to happen until you're in a safe space. 5. Lastly, I will not be going to the wedding. Good on you. I need to get off screens because my head is killing me, but your comments of support helped me settle me emotionally. I will decide tomorrow how I will inform the bride. Okay, into the comments. First comment by wishing for a rainy day. For fuck's sake. That person who said they can get along with anyone is garbage. They're complicit to racism. You need a new set of friends. These people are foul. I'm so sorry, OP. OP says. Yeah, she said that she is absolutely against the concentration camp joke and that she feels guilty she didn't say anything. Okay, yeah. This is one of the things that she cleared up in her edits earlier. Vodka Waifu says, you would not be the asshole, but don't expect these people to be understanding or apologetic in any way. In fact, you should at the very least expect that dropping out due to this behavior, which is extremely valid, probably will end the friendship, which personally I think is better for you anyways. But if you're seeking some heart-to-heart conversation and a productive discussion about the behavior leading up to your dropping out, squash those thoughts now so you're not disappointed. And yeah, looks like OP's comment is more of what was in the edit. Yeah. Clue Proctor 211187 says, I'm sorry. I fucking love lumpia. That shit has to be made up. OP says, that is what I'm saying. White people love lumpia. And how is bread with cream something to chase someone else around with while making jokes? It's scary. Green Ad 276 says, not the asshole. I'm so sorry you had to go through this. I'm multiracial, white, black, and Asian. People who don't know me that know this mistake me for white, and it is astounding some of the things I've heard come out of people. Racism is alive and well, unfortunately. I sincerely wish you were my friend. If you had planned a beautiful event like this with a tea set and everything, I would not have been able to shut up about how great it was. You sound like an amazing person with the kindest heart. Please save your awesomeness for people who will appreciate you for you. Seriously. I love tea, and I and some of my family members and my best friend are all chronically ill and disabled. And one of the things that we have done and may want to do this year for our friend's birthday is have a tea party again. So, yeah, like if OP is looking for friends that want to have tea parties, totally down for that. Ooh, looks like we have some, really badly downvoted comments. What the hell? Sneaky Trevor, what exactly is your dilemma here? These people are not your friends and they are not good people. They behaved absolutely disgustingly. Like, this is 12,000. So is this up or down? Because it's just a red. I've taken it to be that those are highly upvoted, but I don't see like a cool thingy. Yeah, they let you down. Honestly, fuck those people. Yeah, agreed. Fuck those people. You're cool. Be my friend. Okay. Next one. Also, potentially crappy friends. But is OP the asshole or are their friends the assholes? Am I the asshole for showing up underprepared to a hike and being put off with my friends for not warning me and also ditching me? Genuinely need help understanding if I'm just a wuss who dragged everyone backwards today or if we're mad for the right reasons. I'll change minor details here for discretion. I've 31 female, had a friend group, similar ages, saying we'd like to get together for a hike sometime. We've scheduled, rescheduled, planned, and unplanned babysitters and dog sitters, and finally managed it. So I've been tossing out trail ideas. Something easy, single day. My two friends say we'd like to just hike the trail right by our place, and they essentially tell me that it's a straight shot. We'll have a buddy drop us off on the other side of the hill and we'll hike over, and essentially right back down into their neighborhood. 6 hours, start to finish. So my boyfriend and I show up, backpacks, basic snacks, water bottles. They show up on bikes. My boyfriend and I are a little confused. I thought this was a hike. For leisure? No rush, just sort of a one foot in front of the other type thing. They say it's no rush. They may beat us, but we're all just going back to the neighborhood. Plus, there are a bunch of scenic lookouts where they'll stop and we'll catch up. Well, to no one's surprise, we get left behind pretty quickly. No cell service to be spoken of. We keep having to off to one side for ATVs ripping down the path, but the longer we keep walking, one thing becomes clearer and clearer. This is not any kind of hiking trail. It's not built for this at all, despite that being the original idea. Eventually, we stop to rest and wind up chatting with these guys who have pulled over on their ATVs. They ask us where we're headed, and when we tell them, it becomes immediately clear that we have much further to go than originally intended, like several miles to go yet. These were two saints because they gave us a lift. The further we rode, the more astonished we became that anyone had expected us to do this on foot. It took at least 15 minutes more to get there by ATV. We got back to the trailhead and realized it wasn't exactly right into the neighborhood like we'd been told, so we just started walking. Eventually, they came by and picked us up. I'd say maybe 20 minutes or so after we hit the main road. We told them we were too tired to stay for dinner, the original plan, and we booked out and grabbed something on the way home. Here's where I'm at. We're adults. I was clearly underprepared, and no one should have to be responsible for me. On the other hand, this trip was vastly misrepresented to us, and had I known, I would have told these people we didn't own mountain bikes and to count us out. This was not a hike. We have vastly different ideas of what constitutes a hike. I've been fielding calls about how sorry everyone is about the way things went down, but honestly, I just said that had made it home safe and I'd talk to everyone later. My mom had been babysitting so we could go, and when she asked me, I told her all of the above and then said, I tried to hold it together because I figured maybe I was just tired and crabby, but then we had dinner and I was still upset. She genuinely asked me if these people were my friends. I'm going to sleep on it because it's fresh, but I feel like she's right. I felt like I was taking crazy pills today because, damn, at least tell me I'd be better off just going home. I felt like the people who knew the area misrepresented the trip and then totally fucked off and left us to figure out a way back. Additionally, I get very few days off with a babysitter, so to have planned excessively for this to have it go down that way was additionally disappointing. Although not anyone's fault, just an extra grievance, honestly. I don't know. It just feels like we lost the plot here somewhere, and I'm not demanding an apology. I'm just not going to be expecting help or logic from any of these people in the near future. TLDR, today gave me a migraine and felt like a wet fart. Was I expecting too much, or is this legitimately insane? Edited to add, holy moly, I woke up to a lot of questions and support, and I can't thank you guys enough. I started replying to as many as I could get to, but now my household is waking up, so the wonderful boyfriend has gifts to open from the kiddos and I. Thanks very much for your guys' thoughts and advice. Happy Father's Day to those who celebrate. Okay, let's look at these comments. First comment from Gopher Gardner. Definitely not the asshole and nar, not overreacting. I can't help but thinking if your boyfriend wasn't there, would they have done the same thing? You could have been injured by yourself or worse. It is not a thing to invite someone on a hike, not tell them it's a wheeling trail, and then leave them behind to catch up. It's insane behavior that people do to someone they dislike. Less Duty 7681 says, yeah, agree with the others. These are not friends. Sorry, you weren't underprepared. They misrepresented the hike. A girl's knows things says, you were the only ones without bikes? These people aren't your friends. Well, yes, you're all adults. You cannot prepare or plan for what you're not told. Not only that, they knew ATV and bikes use that trail. It puts your safety at risk if someone is coming too fast and doesn't see you. This wasn't a misunderstanding. It was an intentional lack of basic communication. I wouldn't feel comfortable making plans with these people again, and if they ask, please be direct and call them out clear. lack of communication and explanation. They never once mentioned their ride, their bikes through it, and misrepresented the length of the trail. When people do shitty things, sometimes they need to be called out so they don't continue telling their actions don't affect others or aren't seen as mean behavior. Seriously, like I've been on a 6-hour hiking trail. I've never heard of a wheeling trail before, and that's not something I would ever do. Um, Traveler Man 310, not the asshole. Words like hike have meanings. I've hiked the Colorado Trail and the PCT with actual trail legs and the Annapurna Circuit. Hiking is done with feet. Colorado Trail takes about 4 to 6 weeks on foot depending. It takes 10 to 14 days on MTB. I did CT on both and it's very different. What your group pulled wasn't a hike. It was performance art about how not to host people. Bikes, no warning, zero cell service, and you'll catch up. That's not miscommunication. That's malicious negligence with a side of, lol, sorry. You, madam, are emphatically not the asshole. You were the only one who showed up ready for the activity that was advertised. They showed up ready for a different sport entirely and ditched you like yesterday's power bar rapper. Fucking seriously. These people are not your friends. At all. Not the asshole, this is insane, you weren't underprepared. Oh, I'm really upset that you called these people your friends. Okay. Next story. After I take another drink of water. So, if you have a drink, drink it. Okay. Girlfriend's work contract is up in 2.5 months. I asked her to start looking for a job. Am I the asshole? My 33 male girlfriend, 29 female, is upset at me for telling her to start looking for another job just in case her current job doesn't renew her contract. Her contract is up in 2.5 months and told me that I am filling her with anxiety by suggesting to find another job. She was caught off guard and wasn't thinking about a backup plan. Since we are in a city with a lot of competition, I thought it would be best for her to have plan B. Instead, she is taking issue with my suggestion and even called me feminine for not being okay with her. I never said I wasn't okay with it, being potentially unemployed for several months. She says I'm pressuring her and felt that I underestimated her abilities, but I was only trying to be helpful as recruiters have told me that the best time to find a job is while you already have one. Am I the asshole? I kind of agree with the first comment here, Dynamic Cushion 65. So there are two ways you could have done this. Hey, babe, with your contract coming up in a few months, what's your plan? Then listen to what she says. Oh, wow, it sounds like you really like where you're at. Super proud of the contributions you've made so far. I'm sure they would love to keep you, but hearing a lot in the marketplace of displacements. Have they indicated that they are renewing the contract? Maybe you can get a pulse on that. If they don't, what are your plans? Listen again. Or you said, hey, you can't be here without a job, and with your contract expiring in 2.5 months, you better get ahead of that. Which one did you do? OP says, I thought she had 3 to 4 months left of her contract, and after asking her last night, she said she only had 2.5 months. From there, I responded, you should apply to other jobs in case they don't renew you, and she agreed. I firmly believe she will get renewed and want the best for her. I've not heard any indication that they will renew her yet, though, based on what she said. We live at my place, and I'm okay with supporting her in the event she is unemployed. Her plan was if they don't renew, she would either A, take a break, and or B, apply for jobs. She doesn't want any pressure from me. Passion Fruit Jam says, Christ, I'm hoping you're joking about the getting a pulse on that, but your basic concept of asking what its plan is sound. I'm guessing that's directed at Dynamic Cushion. Let's see. People are pointing out her calling him feminine for not being okay with her being potentially employed. Like, does she usually call him names? And what the hell is that about? Yeah, seems like there's a little bit of weirdness there. So yeah, I don't think uh, OP is necessarily the asshole. I think there's definitely more to be had there, but I definitely think the girlfriend is being kind of weird with name calling and defensiveness. What do you guys think? Okay, on to the next story. Looks like this one's pretty short. And once again, about a girlfriend. Okay, am I the asshole? Maybe it's me. I have been, actually, this one looks like a content warning, probably for PTSD, loud noises, military. I've been with my girlfriend for a year. I've told her and purposely avoided crowded places or fireworks because of past military experience. I made her aware this was the case on day one. She set up travel to a place where the streets were mobbed with people who have a tradition of bopping each other on the head with plastic, harmless, mallets, and fireworks as part of an annual celebration. She has been there before and shared few details. When I asked her after we arrived and I started getting guarded, she responded with, "You know, I forget things sometimes." I responded with, "Forgetting what city I come from is understandable, but forgetting the effects from my military service is pretty big. Am I the asshole?" First commenter, Coldstream147147 says, "Not the asshole. This isn't that hard a thing to remember or that uncommon, so there really is no excuse for not to think of it." Agreed. OOP North says she responded with, "You know, I forget things sometimes." And then what? She expected you to just carry on regardless, or she was appropriately remorseful and left you with you immediately. The question of whether she was an asshole really does depend on whether or not she was an asshole about it. OP says the conversation ended. I laid in bed and didn't sleep, and she went on the balcony and watched the show while leaving the door open. I'm still gathering my thoughts on this, so not really responding much. I appreciate the feedback. So, like, she left the door open so you could clearly hear the fireworks going off that are going to trigger you and your PTSD? The fuck? Throwing Abundance says, "Not the asshole. I have PTSD and completely get where you're coming from. Fireworks make me drop to the ground looking for cover. I'm also very sensitive to audiovisual stimulation to the point of avoiding most stores and forget about crowded situations. I too have a really hard time helping my girlfriend understand my limitations. With years of therapy and meds, I have learned that completely avoiding these situations is the best way to prevent a meltdown. Continue to communicate your needs, limitations, and boundaries to your girlfriend." Humble Pen 7216 says, "Not the asshole. She may be the one." Yeah. Ooh. Adalucas says, "She did the classic better to ask for forgiveness than permission. She wanted to go to this event. Therefore, she ignored everything you told her about your PTSD and triggers because in her mind, you are exaggerating and it's no big deal. She's no different to someone putting allergens in a dish because she doesn't believe allergies are real and you'll be fine. But honey, it's only a few shrimp. Stop rolling around on the floor pretending you can't breathe. You're embarrassing me." This is a pretty big red flag, mate. She totally ignored a fundamental boundary due to mental health triggers, then downplayed it and basically told you to suck it up. I'd be ending the relationship if it was me. Yeah, that's pretty much the same sentiment that everyone is saying. And I completely agree. That's not something you forget about. I also had a partner with the same limitations, and I still think about those things. Um, like, I even kind of forget that 4th of July is a thing because I always make sure that I'm not in populated areas around those times of year so that I don't have to deal with any of that shit. Okay, but next one is we are this one does have not safe for work. Um, this one might also need a content warning for abuse or possibly sexualization of uh, maybe like incest warning type thing. Um, Title here is Am I the asshole for staying at a friend's house after my father repeatedly refused to stop mentioning my ass in conversations? For context, I am still a teenager, 16 female, and his comments have really started to bother me within the last year. Why are parents talking about their kids' bodies like this? What the fuck? My dad has a weird fixation on on using on me using the toilet for too long to the point where it's become obsessive. We live in Romania and I've always had digestive problems from the poor food in our country, which led me to becoming extremely constipated from around the start of puberty, which then caused me to have longer bathroom trips around 15 to 25 minutes. Since then, my dad started making weird and even lewd comments about me, constantly pestering me about hemorrhoids and how no man would even want to put his penis in my ass by the time I was 10. Okay, that's disgusting. Don't make sexual comments about you children. Uh, which made me extremely uncomfortable, but he would never listen to me when I asked him to stop talking about it. My mother has never corrected my dad's behavior. They have a steady relationship. They don't argue unless it's something deeply personal, and I have a good relationship with mom too. But it still hurts knowing she's never stood up for me, even when my dad started talking about my body like an object for sex when I was 10. For the past 2 years, I've been saving lunch money to move out as soon as I can, preferably around 19 to 21. However, my older brother, 20, found out about these savings and has stolen small amounts from me almost every other week, so it's possible I won't be able to move out as early as I imagined. Because of the stolen money and the gross things my dad keeps saying about my ass, I've been staying over at a friend's house. This friend, let's call her E, lives with her mother and grandmother as her parents are divorced. I can stay at E's place all week and then have to stay home on weekends while she's at her dad's place. While living with E, I've noticed that the food her mother makes for us lets me pass food a lot easier, no longer constipated after every meal. That made me ask her mother about her recipes, which I then tried at home during weekends, though since my family's poor, so is our food, and even if I follow E's mother's recipe exactly, I still get constipated, then have to suffer my dad's degrading warning again.